So I get this question quite a bit, and recently I've seen an increase in this question, and I'd like to address it in today's video. How do I start out with a survival world? What's the best way to progress to the end game, I guess you could say? Well, there's no best way, but I'll show you my way. Now obviously, the first day, you're going to be doing the typical grinds work, like getting woods, getting set up, and usually I like to go ahead and get my essentials like coal, beds, and maybe some food. Food's very important because it seems like that's the thing that I run out most often, so I will spend a lot of time just gathering food. So instead of using a sword, I actually use a wooden axe to one-hit mobs. It's much faster. You go around, collect all your goods, and I usually hunt sheep because you can utilize that for beds, and it just seems to be a little bit faster, giving us more time for the first day to get like coal and such. The Stone Age advancement, you gotta love it. So my first priority is to just get some stone tools and go for coal at the highest surface point in the world, just so we can get it real quick. We can go for iron once nighttime comes, or we can focus on getting a setup so that we can sleep through the night. But most of the time, I just dig down, or I go into a cave whenever it's nighttime. It just seems more productive, but you know, it's always nice to have a bed too. Really, it just kind of comes down to your personal preference, but I've gotten lucky, and I found some coal right here at the surface. It's beautiful. So this isn't to say that charcoal is a fair use of fuel in the beginning game, but as for productivity and time, coal is much easier to obtain in a fast amount of time. So I'm pretty close to having everything I need for nighttime because we're going to need some cobblestone for a furnace. That way we can smelt a little bit as we are kind of setting up in a little area temporarily. And now we just need some more wood so we can have a bed. So for the most part, I've got everything I need for the first night, and all you really have to do is sleep on top of the surface. You don't even really need to dig in anywhere. Just put a bed right here on the top of the surface and you'll be good to go. And if I have some extra time, I like to look for these kind of flowers, like the bone milling type. That way I can have access to more dyes. So let's gather a few of those, see how many we can get before nighttime arrives, and maybe look at some of the features in the proximity of spawn. So just keep in mind, this is for the new players. I guess with the introduction of 1.16, there seems to be a lot of new players and they're just kind of wondering how things progress. And so, yeah, now we could sleep. Don't have to worry about the nighttime, pretty much skips it. If there's some mobs that spawn, then they'll burn and you'll be pretty safe, relatively safe. Just watch out for the creepers. So in my personal way of playing the game, I lean more toward technical, but I still do a bit of building. And I'm looking for an area that's close to a village or a lower terrain so that we don't have to take villagers up the side of mountains whenever we're building our first farms. But if you do run across your first big cave, like a big surface area like this, then you can go ahead and get some iron, which I'm going to do right now. And yeah, it's much easier to find iron in caves that quick because it's covering a big surface area. I typically try to get my armor all sorted out before we go and make a branch mining system. So yeah, a little bit easier on me in the long run. So you gotta be really careful when you're playing on hard difficulty and you're down in these like caves at the beginning. Obviously I don't have any armor, so it's nice to have some pretty good regen with your foods. I should have really cooked up some steak before coming down here. But yeah, certain things like this happen, like a water trap. A bunch of mobs could be in the vicinity and be giving you problems. So for now, my hunt for iron continues. We got some coal here. It's nice to collect that as we go as well. So here's the download, the little nuance, the croissants. Let me tell you, I'm not going to be playing this world. Yeah, this is just a demo world to show you kind of what I do. So I switch into creative just to kind of show you what I do past the initial grind of things. So I found my iron. You know, I might have another portal up, just getting the initial stuff up. And then there's a point where you can make different moves before you go to the ends. And this is usually like the farming beginning for me. So I usually park myself next to a village. Something I really need to focus on more often is villager trades when it comes to building up your integrity for iron or other resources for just your character, like your tools and all that stuff. And of course, you know, you're gonna have to do some mining for diamonds and stuff. This is not safe, having this next to a village. And so I've got myself a temporary setup. I'm planning to tear this down whenever I begin base building. or making something bigger. This is just temporary workstation, something I used in my single player series a time ago, and Blaze said he really liked it. It's kind of a neat setup, and it really is. It's just like a box, you know, you could just tear it down very easily. You can burn it down, you can flint and steel it or whatever, or you can just take shears and easily take it out. So we got iron doors here to protect from zombies if we desire to have that, or even wooden doors, whatever your approach is, and just typical work things. And then of course we've got the easy mine shaft access. You go down here and do some branch mining. This is going to be the best way to find diamond. When it comes to like iron resources, just caving. If you really need it, just caving. But yeah, one of your first farms is definitely going to be an iron farm, especially with the new updates. Like the iron farms are ridiculously easy to build, and you get so much iron from them. So you want to take all these villagers, consolidate them, and of course once you have those consolidated, you're pretty much ready to go for a bunch of farms. If you want to do a trading system, you can, a breeder, an iron farm. Definitely some crude trading system would be useful. Or you could just manually grind for the Ender Dragon fight, whatever you want to do. That's the thing about the Ender Dragon fight. If you're not playing on hardcore, you don't have much to worry about. You can just wear an iron suit of armor, especially if you get an iron farm, you can just renew it instantly. But yeah, you could just set your spawn next to the portal and you'll be good to go. You can just go back in there whenever you die. And so from here, definitely a villager breeder would be my next step, and then we can have renewable villagers, and then we can use our iron farm setup. This is it. This is all you need for a villager breeding system. Simple, right? I mean, it's mine, and I had just kind of thrown this together one day and then sussed out all the flaws with it. And now it's ready to go. And I can kind of demonstrate it for a bit. If you can, try to find a skeleton spawner and make a skeleton grinder before you get into this. I mean, it makes it a little bit easier for you. Because if you want to fill up their inventories full of crops, you can just go around and bone mill these crops and they will pick them up and fill up their inventory. That I found that is the most convenient way to do it. But it's very nice. It's got all these standard methods. So they got their bed detection, workstations, so they can farm those crops and continue to produce villagers for us. Baby villagers are produced and they run to the edge and fall into the drop pit below. So nice setup, very quick, very nice for hardcore players. Now the next one is an iron farm. You may have noticed, been building my farms a little bit further out from the village because I haven't broke all the workstations and I'm afraid it's going to interfere with some of the mechanics. But here is the easy peasy iron farm. This one, I think this iteration was done by Techman88 using the view bobbing mechanic to break the panic cycle and to just recycle it, and then your iron golems will spawn like every 30 seconds, I think. Usually 2 since we have 2 chambers. But this maybe takes 30 minutes to build. I mean, if you're familiar with the design and you got renewable iron, a bunch of iron if you especially set up in the area that you're working in for a long time or just coming here doing long AFK sessions, you get an iron golem burning right there. It's beautiful. So now as far as the Ender Dragon fight goes, you're pretty much set up. I mean, you got renewable iron, you've got a way to get gear from your villager breeder, which you might want to do a little bit of trading here in the village to maybe get some sweet enchants or something. I'm not really sure. You do your way. I usually just manually grind the gear because it's faster. Just get an enchantment set up and an XP farm. And of course, we're heading to the Ender Portal next. And here's where personal preference comes into play. Finding the end portal room within the stronghold, you can use Eyes of Ender. Or if you're like me and you've been playing for so many years and you're tired of doing it, you could just predetermine the courts. I mean, it's fine. Play the way you want to. You know, you can have a creative copy of the worlds and then just kind of go from there, exploring around, gathering chords. It just makes the process a little bit faster and you get to the point where you're in game, which is the beginning of the game for me. So, you know, you're in a portal room. If you're wanting to set up for the dragon, just set your spawn like right here and, you know, have some extra equipment like, you know, storage, furnace, crafting table. Never could go wrong with some other things. And then you fight the Ender Dragon. I mean, you fight him, you die, you respawn right there where the bed is, and then just come back to the portal and keep attempting until you kill him. And this is where I cheat. We took out the Ender Dragon so fast there. I mean, I didn't even have to swing a sword. So once you get him cleared, there's one more thing to do before you need to branch off and do your own thing. but yeah, it's the most needed farm once you get the Ender Dragon cleared. And thankfully, I've already got it built on my own survival world, Blockheads, which is a server I share with a couple of people. We got my Enderman farm. This is much needed in every world in game. You're going to need this for XP. You get waterfalls of XP and Ender Pearls if you want to use those for transportation or other mechanisms like, you know, traveling. I don't know. There's some bigger machines out there that you can use Ender Pearls for. And so if we want to just look at it real quick, this is what it looks like. Beautiful. If you haven't seen one of these, if you're one of the 10% of Minecraft players, I would say, that hasn't seen an Enderman farm and you haven't made it this far in the game, highly recommend trying it out. It is some amazing stuff. And this kind of unlocks the game for you. Once you get an Enderman farm up, like, you can pretty much do anything. I mean, you can restore your armor, restore tools, and get buttloads of XP. It's beautiful. This probably comes after the Ender Dragon fight and the Enderman farm. I mean, if you've got that iron farm, you can get yourself a beacon pretty easily. Just hunt the wither skeletons, go for it. This one's self-explanatory. So here's the thing, I could be a boss man. No problem whatsoever. We can get it done. This is the best way to do Minecraft worlds. Yeah, not really. It's your personal preference. You do what you think's best for your world and accommodates your gameplay style. But so many people recently have been asking me on my YouTube comments and Discord private messages like, hey, how do you do your world? What do you do? And that was pretty much my process. Now, I would really like to hear some of your tidbits. What are your tips to making the grind a little bit faster or even a little bit more fun? Either way you want to go with it, just let me know in the comments because I'm curious. I might want to maybe adjust the way I play Minecraft a bit. But guys, hope you did enjoy the video, and we'll see you in a video later down the road. Have a fantastic day.